So you're a coach and you just signed your first client, but you have no clue what to do next. Well, I'm going to walk you through on a blank Go High Level account, me building out live the exact processes that I've used to onboard every single client at my own coaching business. And as you can see here, we've got a ton of people who were satisfied with this process and our overall delivery. So I'm going to show you exactly how to implement that today. The way this video is going to work is I'm going to first go through and build out the process live. Then I'm going to slow down the video and show you exactly how it works so you can plug it into your own business. All right, so the first step we got to implement is the email and Slack integration. So in order to do that, I'm just going to go ahead and it's going over to our testing account, which we're going to build into a fully built onboarding process. And I'm going to go ahead and connect both my emails that I'm going to be using for this video. So now that we've got our email and Slack connected, we're going to go ahead and head on over to the settings page of our business profile. And once we're there, we're going to click onto my staff. And once we're into my staff, we're going to click on add employee. So first things first is you're going to write your name here. So all your information and what you've got. So let me just do John Bob. And then, for example, you would do johnbob@gmail.com. And then you'd write a fake number here. So here you go, like this, and then you can just fake the extension or put in your real stuff here. Once you're in this, you're going to click on to advanced settings. You can set yourself password if you like, if you have team members. If not, it's not important. User permissions, not important. User roles, not important. Call and voicemail settings, not important. User availability and calendar configuration are going to be important, but not right now. For the time being, we can just go ahead and save this. And once we've done that, you can see this is going to load and we're going to have a new user under the name John Bob. Perfect. So once we can see this user here, we're going to click on back. And once we're on the main dashboard screen, we're going to click to calendar. And in calendar, we're going to click to calendar settings. Once we're in calendar settings, we're going to see this is completely blank and there's no issue with that. Click on new calendar. The kind of calendar we're going to create is going to be called a round robin calendar. This is so that we can actually select a key person on our team in the case that we grow and hire customer success managers. So calendar name is going to be super simple. Onboarding with, and then you're just going to write your name here. So I'd write Alex. The description of this we can do in just a second here. But you see here under this team member section, we now have the ability to select either John Bob or myself. So let's just say we're picking John here. We click him, the slug. So what I'd recommend here doing, this is going to show at the end of the URL, just like this here. I'm going to write onboarding. And then after that, we can put the person's initials. So we do JB, John Bob. And after that duration of the meeting, I'd recommend you put your onboarding meetings to anywhere between 45 to 60 minutes. If you already have a strategy pre-built, 45, if not 60. So for the sake of this video, let's say 60. And then from that point on, we're not just going to click confirm. We're going to go ahead and click the advanced settings after you make this slug bit unique. So you're going to go John Bob. And we're going to go ahead and click advanced settings. Once we're in the advanced settings, I'll keep you updated. Okay, so now that we're in the advanced settings, the first thing you want to do is upload your calendar logo. I don't have one, so I'm not going to upload anything here. Description. So description for the onboarding is going to be super simple. This is going to show on the side view of the calendar. So we just want to make it very brief. So make sure to answer. So this is an example of onboarding copy, just super simple, and we don't really need to touch too much. Group, you don't need to worry about this. We already have the URL built. The meeting invite title. So this is what they're actually going to see on Google Calendar as the name of the event. You're going to want to change this to contact name, and then you can write X and then your name. So this example, we do John Bob, and then we would put the strategy session or onboarding session right at the very front. So it's going to look on the calendar, as you can see at the end, it's going to look onboarding session, and then their name is Mike, for example, Mike X John Bob. So now that we can have this event dialed in, we're then going to go ahead and do the availability. So once you got this point on, if you have any team members, you're going to either add the team members. So if you see here, I add myself, you can determine who gets what meeting, and then you can also determine where the meeting is going to happen. So I'm going to be taking meetings here, so I'm going to remove myself. But let's say we want to put John Bob on Zoom. We'd then put his recurring Zoom meeting there link if it has integrated. But obviously, the one we're going to do is going to be Google Meet just because we only have the email integrated for now, and that's going to work completely fine. It's a free software. Next phase is going to be the availability. So this is up to you. I personally recommend that on your onboarding calendar, you have a 2-hour window to schedule, and I'll show you what that looks like. So now that we're in the calendar, here's what I would recommend doing. So you have got your work that, let's say you start at 7 a.m. You're going to be doing all the way through till around 12 to 1 p.m. From that point on, we're going to consider this work. And then what I would do is in the block that you schedule client calls, so ideally right before your sales calls, which would happen in the evening right here. So we're going to put sales calls. We're going to go ahead and we're going to put the onboarding block. And this can also be the client booking block that we have. And I'd recommend this block either being 1 hour long or 2 hours long. If you are beginning right now and you're in a niche like fitness where you know everyone's working a 9 to 5, you might want to make the block a little bit wider. But if you're working in something like business or freelancing, you should be fine leaving it at an hour block. So for this example, let's just say we're going to have a 2 hour block. In our own calendar, we're going to put this as a repeating meeting that happens every single day, just so we have this blocked off. And then from that point on, I'm going to go ahead and take that and we're going to put it into our calendar. So I click over here. The time that we have chosen is going to be from 12 till 2. So we're going to go ahead, scroll all the way up here, 12. And we're going to go ahead and copy it across all the days of the week here. So the next thing we have is the actual scheduling details. So the first thing that I would say on a scheduling notice is that you leave the scheduling notice blank here for onboardings, since if you're the person doing the sales or you have a salesperson, you can communicate this in a matter of minutes. So it doesn't really matter if they book on the same day. The date range to book out. This is something that you want to enforce just as a standard so you can get people started quickly. Put a 4-day date range. That means that they're not able to book into a separate week if it's only the start of the week, which is going to allow you to not have to reschedule someone if they book super far away for whatever reason. I've run into that situation where people get scared and whatnot. Then maximum bookings per day, you can leave this open. Maximum booking slots per user, that's completely fine. And then the pre-buffer and post-buffer time. So even if we're running an hour-long meeting, I'd still recommend a 15-minute buffer, and that applies regardless of whether you have a 15-minute or a 45-minute. So the next little hack that you can do is if you want to make your onboarding call seem shorter than it's actually going to run, you can also put this to a 30-minute meeting duration, then a 30-minute buffer, and then just run the call for 60 minutes. However, I think it's important to set the expectation of how long you're going to be on the phone for. Next thing is going to be forms of payment. So we're going to go back and add another form in just a second here. But for the meantime, we can skip through this. This is going to be super good for the time being. Then notification, additional options. So this is going to be super simple. We're just going to click on the contact and the assigned user receiving a notification. This is just going to be from email. It's a quick freebie that we don't necessarily have to do. If you want to write a custom email, which I'm going to show you to do, you can also just unclick this here. And from that point on, we are good to go on the calendar. Little changes that you can add are inputting a image, or if you're using a software like Hyros or Triple Whale, you can also put in a tracking code here to see the efficiency of the booking. So now we have our team member created and we also have our calendar created. The next thing we're going to make is the form. Now, the onboarding form is something that if you do right is going to make your job a lot easier on the back end, because you're only going to need to spend time on the onboarding call working with the customer instead of just trying to get information out of them. So the way we do that is we're first going to head to sites. Once we're in sites, we're going to click to forms, and we don't just immediately click on forms. We're going to hover over it. We're going to click on the builder button. Once we're in the builder button, we're going to go ahead and add a form and let this load. So the first thing I recommend you doing is completely getting rid of all the questions and everything that we have on here. It's better to just build this thing from blank. So in order to actually add a question, you're going to first click over here, click to custom fields, then you're going to click add. The kind of question that you do is going to be single line if it is a text response, or multi-line if it's going to be a paragraph response. And then also you have the ability to click on a drop down that someone clicks onto, or a radio select where they click one of a few options. But I'm just going to go ahead and manually input all these now. So after I've got the initial questions down, I'm going to go ahead and add the contact fields. So this is going to be very important that we do this properly. So in order to do that, we're going to go ahead and click to the quick add section, as you can see here. And from that point on, we're then going to add a first name and a last name category. And then we're also going to add an email and a phone category. And yes, the reason why we're going to add these is so that in order to actually book in, they're going to stack on top of the right contact, so that the person that booked in the call in order to buy from us is going to be the same person getting the notifications. They're not going to get spammed. After that point, we're going to go ahead and click require onto all these. And a little tidbit, you can also remove this section here because it is internal communication with the client, so you do not need to worry about SMS compliance. So now we're going to save our form. We're going to head back to the Go High Level menu. Then from that point, we're going to click back into our calendar here. Going to click the calendar settings, revisit the exact same calendar we had. As you can see here, it's going to appear. Then we're going to click on to edit settings. And instead of going through the whole thing again, we're just going to click immediately to forms and payment. In this forms and payment, if you save properly, you're going to be seeing your onboarding form right here. And then you're going to be able to just make sure that these widgets are in the right order of date and time selector and then the form. So you're going to pick the day that they want to book in, and then the form, as I'll be able to show you in just a second here. Once they've done that, we're going to simply write a thank you for your appointment request. This is going to be good enough. Looking forward to onboarding you. Then from that point on, we'll leave on this auto confirm and we should be good to go. So we don't need to click through all these again. We just click to customization and click save. So now if I were to click on these triple dots beside the calendar and I were to click to share and I click and copy the scheduling link, I can go ahead and either embed this into a landing page, which we're not going to do for the sake of this video, but I can also take a look at the scheduling. So as you can see here, we have our widget bookings onboarding John Bob, and we have the availability as we set on the calendar here. And if I were to go ahead and schedule it in, all these questions are required. And once we schedule it in, it's going to auto confirm the meeting and we'll be set to go. If you have any logos that you added, they're going to be appeared here along with the description of our calendar. So now we can go ahead and click back and say that we've created our form. And now the next step is going to be to create call internal and external notifications. So we've got our calendar and now we're going to go ahead and click to the go back button. So once again on the Go iLevel homepage. Once again, if we want to see where the calendar and the bookings land, we can always use the Go iLevel in feature, but we would also prefer to use our calendar, which we already set up in the integrations. So heading on to the next step, we're going to click to the automation section. Once we're in the automation section, I suggest if you already have sequences, you're going to create a folder, and we just call this folder onboarding. Once you've created the onboarding folder, you're going to click inside the onboarding folder, and we're going to create our first workflow, start from scratch, and it's going to be called, as you can see right here, onboarding notifications. So if you have not created automation before, there's going to be a very simplified way of doing so. Going to click on the add a new trigger button. Once you've added a new trigger, we're going to go ahead and scroll through all these options, or you can search at the very top and go to scheduled appointment. So customer booked appointment, as you can see right here, Webflow trigger name, customer booked appointment. And if we were to leave this blank, every booked appointment would now show on this section, but we're going to click on the add filter button. And then once this loads, we're going to go ahead and add the proper filter. Okay, so now we're going to click on the in calendar tag. And then once you've clicked on that, we're going to be able to select the onboarding with Alex or John Bob that we created right there. And then we're going to save trigger. So now what's going to happen is that every time someone books this appointment, everything that we put on from this point is going to happen. First thing that we want to do is we want to go ahead to the action button and we're going to type in SL, and the Slack's going to be the only one that appears. Once we've got our Slack appearing, we're going to send a notification to Slack, and then we're going to click onto the Scholar Systems Slack account, and then we're going to click on the event to send a public message. So showing you what is going to happen, we're going to click a public channel now that we work inside of here. So I'm just going to pick a random channel that I have, such as sales. I don't think this one is being used. And from this point on, we're going to fill in all of the onboarding information. So as you can see now, I am under the custom field section, and I'm going to go ahead and copy over, based on the question I asked, the proper custom field. I'm going to click these two little clipboard buttons. Once I've copied it, we're going to see a little green thing in the bottom left, bottom right, and then we're going to go to our actual automation that we have here. And we're going to paste it in, and we're going to do this for the rest of the ones that we have here. So now that we've got all the custom fields inputted in, we're going to click Save Action. Then we're going to make sure that we save in the top right here, and we're going to click on the draft and go to Publish, even though we're not done yet, just so we have a good measure and we don't lose anything. Then we're going to go ahead and click to the next phase, which is going to be email. So once we have the email, we're going to click on Send Email. Then we're going to write from whatever your email is. So let's say we're John Bob, and we're going to put the email from John Bob, and then subject line is going to be confirmation, your onboarding, and then in regards to the message. So one of the things that is very important is even though these people have paid us, we still have a social credit to uphold to them. So we're going to be very respectful and let them know that, hey, this is an automated message, and simply confirm all the appointments in the way that we need to. Okay, so you can see I have the first automation here where I say, hey, contact first name. This is an automated message to confirm your onboarding call with John at appointment.start_time. So this means that if it is on Friday, the 13th of 2025, it's going to go ahead and show this right here. Then from that point on, it's going to give them a little widget to add to their Google Calendar, which is going to be very helpful so they're reminded of the appointment, and then just a small message here to reach out if they have any more questions. Then from that point on, we're going to click Save. And fundamentally, we don't need to add any more SMS. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to click here and we're going to add a bit of time. So there's going to be the wait feature. Once we've clicked wait, we're going to click on the time delay and we're going to go and click the event/appointment time. So instead of having it wait a set period of time, we're going to have it trigger before an event time. So we're going to have it trigger on this first notification here, 3 hours before the event time. And if the timing is already past it, it's going to skip all the communications and wait until those 3 hours hit. So then after you've done that, just a good habit is going to be to make sure that we track our work here so we don't confuse ourselves in the future. So 3 hours before the appointment, first thing we're going to do is we're going to hit them with another email. So that's going to be very simple. We're going to follow the exact same format. Okay, so now that we've actually written the email reminder here, all we would do is if you have some form of pre-onboarding sequence, you'd link it here, but now we can save this and move on to the next section, which is going to be an SMS notification. So to do that, we're going to type in here, send SMS, and this is going to be very simple. It's just going to send to their phone number and just say, hey, and we're going to click contact, first name, little reminder, we chat in 3 hours. Or you don't want to say little reminder, that's a bad follow-up. Just okaying, we chat in 3 hours. Perfect. And that'll be a great message here. And then after we've done that, we're going to go ahead and put in another wait period. And this wait period is going to be a lot less. This is only going to be 5 minutes before, just to let them know. We're going to add this and we're going to say 5 minutes beforehand. And then once we have the 5 minutes beforehand established, we're then going to go ahead and we're going to copy number 1. We're going to copy here. Then we're going to copy number 2 and we're going to input it down here. So now what we're going to do is once you click in here, we're going to take the same message and we're just going to reverberate it around to it being the 5 minutes or something along the lines of, hey, contact first name, just wanted to let you know, no, I'm in the meeting. And then I would also include the meeting link right here. So appointment, and then we'd want to put in the meeting location and then save, good to go. And then on the regard of the SMS, hey, contact name, just okay. And we chat in 3 hours. We're going to change to, we don't need to add the first name. We can just say in the meeting waiting for you or something along those lines. You can customize this however you want. But after we've done this, we're going to click save. And now what we have is when someone books in, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get a notification on Slack. And then we're also going to send them email reminders before the appointment so that we're good to go. So now we can go back on to our board over here and we can check off the board view right here. Okay, so the final 2 stages are going to be to create a pipeline view and then add pipeline creation to our actual calendar. And then we're going to test everything to make sure it runs and works perfectly. So we're going to go ahead and click over to our Go Eye level once again. Going to head over to the Opportunities tab. And then from that point on, we're going to click to Pipelines. Once we're in Pipelines, you're going to click on Create New Pipeline. Now we're going to design this pipeline as onboarding. And once you've done that, we're going to set up the stages, which I'm going to do quickly here, and you can copy me. Okay, so this is going to be the pipeline. Just going to keep it super simple. If you have any additional stages of your customer journey, you can add them in here. Going to go ahead and click save. So now that we've done the first step here, it's going to load and we can now okay the create pipeline view. Once we've gone ahead and done that, we're going to click right back on over to that automation we were working on. And this is why it's important to save things so we don't accidentally lose something during this whole process. We're then going to go ahead and click to scroll down here and find the opportunity that we're going to add. So that's going to look like the plus action, and then we're going to just type in opportunity, and we can go create opportunity. Going to collect the pipeline of onboarding. We're going to put it in the scheduled call, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to actually just put in the opportunity name being first things first, contact full name, and then we're going to have actually, the way we do that is we're going to do contact first name, last name, first name, and then contact last name. And then once we've got that dialed in, we're then going to put a little space bar here. Opportunity source, we don't need to say this. We can just say customer, lead value, however much they paid. Let's say we closed a $4,500 customer. If you did that, congrats to you here. And then status. So we're not going to have any status here other than open. And then we're going to allow the opportunity to move to any previous stage in the pipeline. It doesn't matter for the sake of what we're doing here. So then once we got that, we're going to go ahead and save this here. And once you've saved this here, we're now, when we schedule in someone, going to create a pipeline. And then in order to move them to the actual active customer section, we can then go ahead and add another one, which is going to be appointment. And then we're going to update appointment status. So Once a call right here is marked as a wait, and then we're going to add a time delay of 24. Actually, we can go ahead and click to 6 hours because we have the notification that happens 5 minutes before. And we're going to go ahead and actually add a 6 hours after. And then we're going to create or update a opportunity, and we're going to move the opportunity to the actual schedule call section here. And now what's going to happen is they're going to go from the first pipeline section, which I can show you, from the scheduled call section over here to the active customer, which is going to allow us to not have to move it ourselves. So now we have our full onboarding process done. It is time to test it and make sure everything's good to go and okay. So we have our scheduling link here, which we're going to copy, and now we're going to create and paste into a new tab. So first things first, we already saw our calendar is good to go, but now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and actually fill out a submission to make sure everything runs properly. So if I were to go ahead and just put in test for all these questions, fill everything out right here, and then we're going to schedule our meeting. And by the way, we have to fill everyone out because we made sure that it was a required question, as you can see right there. We're going to click on the schedule meeting button. Okay, so now we're scheduling in. We can see, thank you for the appointment request. Looking forward to onboarding you. We can immediately add it to our calendar if we'd like right here, and it will add to our calendar. That's good to go. But now the next step is to make sure that our Slack notifications fire internally so we know and have all the questions. And then second off, to make sure that the customer is getting notifications as planned. So as you can see here, I made an example channel in our Slack, but you can see the person has just scheduled their onboarding 521, 522. So now in that, we can go ahead and see all the numbers here with the answers to test. If your person fills in actual answers, they're going to show here. And now we can actually get internally notified when someone books in. The next step is going to make sure our email is good to go. So instead of trying to jump into the customer's perspective or ask them if they got the emails, all you have to do is you're going to go ahead and you're going to click to the automation phase here. And this is also because I filled in test@gmail.com, which I do not own. And then we're going to click to the onboarding notification, and we can just click to the enrollment history. And as we can see on the enrollment history, we have test@gmail.com that got enrolled. And if we look at the execution logs, they have gone through all these phases here of first off being added to the workflow, having the Slack notification send, having the email send. So now this person is getting random emails from me, which I should probably cancel after this video. With that being said, you have a complete onboarding process that I've used to onboard all my clients, and now you should be good to go to get out there, crush it, and deliver exceptional results. So I hope the value that you got from this video is worth the time you spent, and you have a great rest of your day.